Greetings, life management students or life balance students, and welcome to module number 3. This is a fun module. We're really going to deviate, go away from some of the learning where we're memorizing a lot of different things that might have to do with being a student and critical thinking and all of that. And we're going to really focus on you and I. We're going to talk about identity, your identity, forming your identity. What does identity mean? And we're going to talk about self-esteem because both are really important. And when I think about this journey of life balance and how to achieve it, it's so important that you understand you so you can make some really important decisions about how do you want to manage money? What do you want to do for a career or for a job that makes you happy? What values do you have? All of those come into play the more you know about yourself. So we're going to talk about identity. Okay, let's jump in here. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between what I think of as our two faces, really our private and our public self. So thinking about these two parts of us, one being more visible than the other. So our private self, this is kind of who we are inside. This is private, just like it says, right? So this is going to be your thoughts, your feelings, the big dreams that you have that sometimes you don't tell anybody about. Those are your private self. Those are the things we keep locked in. And then we have our public self. And the three things or aspects that make up our public self are going to be our appearance, our style, and our personality. And these are the three things that we show people, that people can't help but see. And unfortunately, what we tend to do is make a lot of judgments about people based on that public self. So without getting to really hear about their thoughts and dreams and goals and all of that in their private self, we make a lot of judgments, especially here in our Western American society, because we are very much a culture of physical beauty. We are a culture of Kardashians and of millionaires and all of these external factors that, yes, they're important to a certain extent, but they're not all important. Our appearance, we want to have good hygiene, right? You want to present yourself in a way that is pleasing to others. However, it doesn't mean we need to wear the latest designer clothing or carry expensive handbags or wear expensive shoes. That doesn't always make us think something about ourselves. Our style. Some of us have a sense of fashion, others do not, and they don't really care to. They're more down to earth. They're more nature people. And so our style really reflects, again, how we're presenting ourselves. And then, of course, the last one is going to be our personality. Yes, for a big part of us, our personality is within our DNA. That's kind of who we are. Some of us are more outgoing than others. Some of us are shy, right? However, your personality can change as you get older. So I want to talk about how that will happen, right? So again, we have these two faces that make up who we are. So your social identity, what does your social identity mean? Where do you come from? Do you have a religion? When you think about what is important to you as far as, am I somebody who cares about social justice? Am I someone who cares about making a lot of money, right? But our social identity really reflects those things that identify us with a particular societal group. What that means is that we have this social presence. So are you big on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? Do you do all of those things? And when you do them, how do you present yourself? What is that social identity that you have? I myself, I have Facebook. I really don't use Instagram and Twitter, but I have Facebook because once in a while I like to post pictures of my kids or fun things that my family does on vacation so that my relatives that are far away can see and keep up with how my kids are growing or what we're doing, right? That's really my purpose. But I tend to go through long periods of time with no posts that I put up. Whereas I have other friends that post every meal they're eating, right? Every little detail of their life is for the whole world to see. Their social identity is very different, right? And you know that people are making judgments based on your social identity, based on what you present. So you have to be aware of that. Self-esteem. This is a big one because this is something that I frequently have students tell me, how do I improve my self-esteem? We'll talk about that in a minute. What is self-esteem? Really, self-esteem is this confidence that you have in your abilities or in your worth, right? It's confidence that you have in your worth. So when we feel worthless, we have low self-esteem. When you have self-esteem, you have self-respect. You respect yourself enough that you will not let partners or other people treat you in a certain way that's disrespectful, right? I kind of think of self-esteem as this realistic, appreciative opinion of yourself. In other words, we need to be realistic. We can't compare ourselves or hold ourselves to standards of being somebody else, a movie star or somebody else, right? We just can't, because that's not realistic for who we are. Right? Unfortunately, there's this thing called the looking glass self. And the looking glass self can be not healthy for us, right? It can be a bad thing. Okay? So what does that mean? Really, the looking glass self means that as long as people see us in a certain good light, like as long as my postings on Facebook are positive or they're doing exciting things, maybe people see me in a good way. However, the opposite can be true. People can see me in a negative light, right? And that's going to be an issue. Right? Children, for example, sometimes kids get belittled, right? Think of maybe when you were even in elementary school, put down, right? They're verbally abused. Bullying is huge nowadays. Sometimes they're verbally abused even by their parents. If you had a caregiver or a guardian or a parent that said things to you like, you're good for nothing, I wish you'd never been born, those words are powerful. Powerful. They affect our psyche. They affect our self-esteem, right? And we're going to talk about how that looking glass self can really influence that. So even as adults, we know that others don't always hold us or people in the highest regard, right? So many people don't regard ourselves highly. So your looking glass self is if you're looking in the mirror and you're seeing yourself how other people see yourself, right? And that's scary because I should not measure myself by how other people see me or the ugly words other people have seen me. If other people have told you you're ugly, right? They've said derogatory, cruel things to you. I do not need to receive that or take that on. And so we don't want to have that looking glass self. Right? And so this is kind of what we're talking about. Here's some just kind of illustrations of this cycle, right? So looking at here and thinking that low self-esteem makes us too sure of ourselves, but unfortunately in a negative way. So when we even talk to ourselves and say, you're stupid, you can't do anything right. And then we will start to become that because we're speaking that to ourselves. And so we cannot allow that to happen. When we have this low self-esteem, it is a cycle. It's this vicious cycle of a bad thought comes into our head like, I'm going to blow it with this girl or guy that I like, right? We have anxiety because of that. Therefore, we do something unwise because of it. We fail because we expected to fail. We blame ourselves for that. And it's this continuous cycle of low self-esteem. And so we need to break that cycle. And looking at this bottom slide, you can kind of see the difference between healthy self-esteem and low self-esteem, right? We have to understand all of us have strengths and weaknesses. The more we learn about them, the healthier we will be. Because when somebody criticizes us, and if we know that that's one of our weaknesses, we can accept that, right? But when they criticize us about things that are not evident in us, then we shouldn't be able to accept that. Okay? So kind of make sure that you look at this to kind of get some ideas of how you can be in this healthy self-esteem category instead of the low self-esteem category. Right, so here's the big question. How do we then increase our self-esteem? Now, think about it. Most of us at some point in our lives have dealt with low self-esteem. Most of us, right? So here's some ways that we can really work on it. Number one, be mindful of our negative self-talk. And I kind of gave you examples before, but negative self-talk is when we say things to ourselves that are negative. So when you call yourself stupid, when you say that you're dumb and you're not going to pass the test, when you say that there's no way you could complete a college class because you're just not smart enough, when you say that there's no way that that person will like you because you're just not pretty, you're not handsome, you're too short, whatever it be, that's all negative self-talk. And we need to be mindful of it when we do it to ourselves, that we can stop it. And we can even hopefully turn it to positive self-talk. We'll talk about that shortly. Sometimes we need to unlearn what we've been told about ourselves. So for instance, if you had a parent that said some of the words I mentioned earlier, if they said to you, you're good for nothing, you can't do anything right, we need to untrain our mind to accept that, because they were wrong. They were wrong. They did not know how to parent. And so therefore, we need to teach our brain that that's not true. I can do many things. I have strengths. I'm a good person. And so we need to retrain, unlearn the bad stuff. Practice acceptance and stop comparing ourselves to others. This is what we do. We totally always compare ourselves to the person next to us or somebody else, or unfortunately a lot of times to unrealistic people like movie stars, like people that, you know, are just not in our same category. They're not in our situation, and we should not compare ourselves to them in any way. So don't compare ourselves to people, and understand that we're all unique. And with that uniqueness comes the ability to be individual. Right? Recognize that you rock some things. So this is when I tell students, you know, pat yourself on the back when you do something good. And that something good can be something like, for instance, I spend a lot of my time mentoring. I spend a lot of my time going to elementary schools, and I have little young children that I mentor in certain programs, and I'll talk more about that later. But these are kids that need an adult that says healthy words to them, and a positive role model. And so I give a lot of my time. I don't get paid for it. It's volunteer. I have a busy teaching schedule. I have my own family. I'm a single parent. Yet mentoring is really important to me. And so I have to say, you know what? I rock as a mentor. I rock at investing in the next generation, in giving back to people. So yeah, maybe I'm not wealthy. Maybe I don't have a lot of things. Maybe I'm not perfect in many ways, but you know what? I'm good at that. I'm really good at that because I make my kids a priority. They call me. If I miss a visit, they call me and say, you didn't come to visit me at school, I missed you. Because they're looking forward to somebody coming that shows interest in them, that just gives them a little bit of time, right? And so I rock at that, and you rock at tons of things. And yes, maybe it's going to take some effort to think about all of them, but you need to let yourself know you rock. Exercise. This is a big one. So when we exercise, our body releases endorphins, and endorphins are kind of like happy hormones. Exercising feels good, even when it hurts. So when you're in the middle of especially if you do weights, so you do strength training, you're in the middle of a workout routine and you're just like screaming and struggling and you think you can't do another one. When you do it and you're all done with your workout routine and you're sweaty and you just like you're worn out, you feel like you accomplished something. You feel good about yourself, and that builds self-esteem. exercise is great for self-esteem, right? Be of service. Do unto others. I kind of mentioned that in my example. That's one of the things I like to do. But here's the thing. If you're dealing with low self-esteem, and let's say sometimes we have reason to because we have lots of stressors in our life. We have bills to pay, we have relationship issues, we have real concerns. I promise you that if you go volunteer, you go to the soup kitchen and serve food to the hungry, if you go find a homeless person and help them, and I don't mean by just giving them some money, but give them a ride somewhere or take them to the women's shelter and help check them in there. When you do that, you forget about all of your problems. Because believe it or not, there's always people out there that have it worse than you, always. And so doing unto others builds our self-esteem because we feel good about helping. There's something good in helping. So doing that, be of service, and then forgive. This is a big one, okay? So when we talk about psychology, you're going to learn that when we do not forgive people, when people have wronged us, so sometimes we have a right to be upset. We have a right. We've been wronged. However, if you don't release that, what you harbor, that unforgiveness you're holding, what happens is you suffer, not the other person. So even if the other person never apologizes, you need to let it go. You need to say in your mind, you know what? This guy or girl, whoever it was, they burned me. I trusted them, they lied, whatever the situation be. You need to say they've never asked for forgiveness. Even so, you need to speak their name and say, you know what? I have to let that go. They were wrong, they did me wrong, but I learned from the situation. I'm going to make better choices in the future. And I just need to forgive them because unforgiveness eats away at us. It does. It damages us inside, and it definitely destroys our self-esteem. And so when you forgive people, it lets that go. It releases that gnawing feeling inside of you, right? And it helps us to build self-esteem because we're not harboring grudges. Right? So these are some really, really helpful ways that I hope you'll come back to these slides. Take pictures of them on your phone, do whatever you need to do. That these are things you're going to carry with you because we're all going to experience times where we feel kind of down. This is a wonderful exercise that I want you to do for homework. So the mirror exercise, right? What is this? This is what I call self-care. Self-care. I want you to stand in front of your mirror, like maybe your bathroom mirror, wherever you have a mirror. And I want you to first say your name. Right? Say your name, say your full name, say your first name, say your nickname, whatever you want. And I want you to say something good about yourself. Appreciate yourself, your accomplishments, your successes. Let's say you even, let's say you're very shy. And today you talked to somebody that you wouldn't normally ever talk to. And let's say the person was even kind of rude to you when you did that. It doesn't matter. When you come to the mirror activity, you're going to say, hey, John, today you took a risk. You put yourself out there and you said hi to somebody you wouldn't normally say. And they were kind of rude about it, but you know what? I'm proud of you because you took a risk today, right? So if you have a temptation to overeat, because food is very comforting, right? So if you're struggling with resisting chocolate or overeating, you can look in the mirror and say, hey, John, you know what? Today, that chocolate was sounding good, feeling good, smelling good, but you know what? I'm super proud of you because today you didn't eat it, right? So reward yourself. Say, I love you. Sometimes no one else has. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't have good caregivers. They didn't say, I love you like they were supposed to. Sometimes other people aren't going to do it for you. I always say that. I always tell my kids, you know what? We need to support each other in our home. You support your brothers and sisters because when we leave our front door and we go out into the world, other people will bring you down. They don't always support you, but in family, we need to support each other, right? So say, I love you. John, I love you, right? And then take a big deep breath. We can talk about breathing and meditation, and we'll talk about stress management, but breaths are so good. And especially if you do the 4-count breath, right? Where you basically breathe in, hold it for 4, right? Release for 4, wait for 4, breathe in again for 4, hold it for 4, release for 4, wait for 4, breathe in again. So you mentally count to 4 each time. And you won't believe, after just doing 3 or 4 of those long breaths, how calm you feel, how good you feel. So this is something, and this is so hard for students. I had students that tell me, oh my God, it was so weird, awkward, I couldn't do it. You can do it, and it is going to help build your self-esteem, and it's going to give you what I call self-care. You care for yourself. We all need to do this. I love this activity. All right, so what are social rewards? So first of all, social rewards are really these type of things that we can do that we're rewarding people in a particular way. We'll explain how they work here. So they tend to make people feel good about who they are. So I'm not giving you money. I'm not giving you something that's tangible or a toy or a gift or anything like that. This is what I'm giving you. I'm giving you affection, right? Affection, when you're affectionate to people, right? People like you when you're affectionate to them. Affectionate means a hug. It just means a pat on the back sometimes, squeezing someone's arm. Or sometimes we like those hugs where you crack people's back, you squeeze them so tight, feels good, right? Affection is a way that we can reward people. In children, you know, when I just touch children, when I used to teach 3rd grade, they would love it because I'm just close to them and I'm giving them something affectionate, right? Praise. Praise is so good. Someone tells you that you're doing a good job. We all live for praise. And unfortunately, again, a lot of us haven't heard enough praise in our life. Our guardians and caregivers and parents didn't do this. And we need to, especially if you're in romantic partnerships. Praise goes so far because our words are powerful. Your mouth and your words that come out of it, they can build someone up and they could tear someone down. And so our praise builds people up. Right? When you tell people that, Johnny, you did awesome today. I'm so proud of you. Oh my goodness, you're amazing. Right? These words make all of us feel good inside. And so praise is a way that we can give to others. Respect. Others value your opinions, thoughts, and actions, right? Respect is crucial to healthy relationships. When I look at couples, and if you ask me, is this couple gonna last? Are they gonna make it? A lot of times what I'll do is I'll observe couples. And what I'm looking for when I observe couples is this word here, respect. Couples that respect each other have a great chance of having a long-term, very healthy relationship. Because respect is crucial in a relationship. When you treat your partner and say ugly words to them or negative things to them, that's not good. But when we respect our partner, it just builds each other up, right? And so we can use these social rewards, right? They work on both children and adults, right? Smiles, hugs, verbal praise, attention. All of these things are something that we all crave. We do. And so making sure to use social rewards with each other helps you to build people up. And that's what we always want to be doing. So what is self-compassion? Really, it's kind of like loving ourselves, right? And the kind of adversary or the little bad part, like the opposite of self-compassion, is what we think of as this critical inner voice. This is kind of like that little devil that sits on your shoulder and says bad things to you. That's who that is, right? And so it's like an internal coach that's criticizing you all the time, that's taking you away from your true identity. This inner voice is our true enemy. It's the one that's saying bad things. It's critical. It's always telling you how you're not dressed stylish, how you don't have enough money to buy nice clothes like everyone else. It's telling you how you're not smart, how you're dumb. It's telling you how ugly you are. It's telling you how everyone sees the one pimple on your face. It's telling you that you're not tall enough. It's telling you that you're too big, you're too thin, right? You're never right. That's this critical inner voice, and we got to get rid of that, right? Unlike that critical inner voice, self-compassion, right? This companion helps us to really kind of love ourselves. 3 elements that make up this self-compassion are self-kindness. And I kind of gave you an example of that with the mirror activity, right? Going in front of the mirror and saying, I love you, and patting yourself on the back for something you did today is a way of being kind to yourself. Because maybe somebody else is not going to say something kind to you today. You need to do it. I need to do it. So self-kindness, mindfulness. So being mindful of your words, of your actions. Sometimes we act without thinking. We say things without thinking, and this can be harmful to both us and other people, right? And so we need to have mindfulness. Mindfulness is also being in the moment, and this is why I like to do reflections weekly. So again, every module, every week that we are together, we do a reflection. And a reflection is part of mindfulness because you're processing. What was it like for me to do that activity? What was it like for me to learn about how this works? Wow, what do I think of that? How do I feel about it? Right? Mindfulness. And then common humanity. This self-compassion is thinking about this world is made up of more than me and my issues. There are millions of people starving in the world. There's humanity that's suffering. And so I need to think beyond my little circle and myself and think of other people, right? So that common humanity. And these are 3 different elements towards this self-compassion, which is going to help us to overcome that critical inner voice. All right. So again, this self-esteem. So there are multiple factors that really have an effect on this self-esteem. In other words, what builds our self-esteem, or how did we get to where we are? Your childhood is a big one. Your childhood. So did you have parents or guardians that said good things or not? Were you abused? Did you suffer through poverty? What kind of things did you go through that really affected your childhood, affected how you feel about yourself, your self-worth? Society tells us we should be wearing certain clothes. We should present ourselves in a certain way. We should live in certain neighborhoods. They dictate these things to us. And so sometimes if we listen to that or buy into it, that affects our self-esteem. The media definitely bombards us with things that we should or shouldn't care about, things that we should or shouldn't do, all of that, right? And then the people in our life, our friends, our family, all of these different people, they can add to or take away from how we feel about ourselves. And hopefully you are making what I call healthy relationships. Relationships, whether they're friends or partners, family, can all be healthy or unhealthy. And I want you to learn to make healthy choices. Right? Sometimes people that we care deeply about are toxic or they're unhealthy for us. And if you want to be a healthy person, you're going to need to distance yourself from that. Okay? All right, so let's see, these daily things that unfortunately can, what we think of as derail or take us off of this path of gaining self-confidence, right? Physical appearance, body positivity. So maybe you've heard of body shaming. The way that we shame people because of their body size. Now understand, genetics play a huge role in your body size. But even people who have maybe a healthy weight struggle with physical appearance. When we think about, comparing ourselves to others, when we think about what society says we should look like, all of these things affect us. Again, social media can really derail us because people are using filters and people are posting these pictures that look amazing, and you're thinking, I don't look like that. I could never look like that, right? She's 60 and looks great in a bikini, and I can't do that right now, right? Perfectionism. This is what I kind of struggle with. We all tend to have this, we want ourselves to be perfect. So this is your type A personality. You're a perfectionist. You want your work to be A+ work. You want everything to be perfect. And unfortunately, we're all going to fall short of that. We are, because we're human. And so we need to understand to let that go and understand. Didn't get an A on the test, but I'm just going to try harder next time. I'm not going to beat myself up because I didn't do that. Right? Unattainable beauty standards. This goes back to hearing about Brooke Shields, who's 60 and looks great in a bikini, right? Brooke Shields, you know, probably has millions of dollars. She probably has had plastic surgery, more than we can count. She probably has a personal trainer that she works with 5 days a week. We can't do or afford those things. And so I try to tell people, they look great, they're airbrushed. They've got makeup on galore. You might just be a personal, natural person, and you're beautiful that way, right? So it's unattainable that I'm ever going to look like the Kardashians or any of those people. And so therefore, don't set ourselves up for that, because it's going to hurt my self-confidence. Believe it or not, having a messy desk is not a good thing. Some people will say, well, my desk is messy, but I know where everything is. There's something psychological that happens to us when we have a clean workspace. It makes us feel good. It does. It's science, it's research. And so keeping your desk organized, like keeping everything stacked neatly, just having an organized, clean workspace actually helps you to build self-confidence. You feel good about it. Self-deprecating humor is when you make fun of yourself. Oh, I know I'm stupid, you know, haha. You kind of joke about yourself in that way, but you're really cutting yourself down, and it's not a healthy thing to do. I don't want you to let other people talk to you that way, so I don't want you to talk to yourself that way. Right? I want you to be saying positive, healthy things to yourself. Okay? So let's not do that. So these are things that can, again, interfere with our self-confidence. So today's, this week's module, I should say, is really all about you. And I'm hoping as you go through the week's activities that we're doing, they're really going to give you more understanding of you, help you to reflect inside of yourself, learn more about you. And I hope that these slides will be something you always kind of come back to, because this is something we all struggle with, right? All right, guys, looking forward to seeing you for module number